Alright, what's good, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy JP. I'm back with another video. We're gonna be reacting to how Chapo's son's arrest killed 29 people. You know, there's been a lot of stuff going on with this situation. I'm still just waiting to see, you know, how everything is gonna turn out. So I ain't gonna do too much talking with this one. We're gonna jump right in it. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, turn your post notifications so you know anytime I post a video. Request any videos in the comments you would like for me to react to, and I got ya. I'm gonna get them done. But yeah, let's waste no time. Let's check this out. One.
Most wanted cartel leaders is in a Mexican jail cell.
Violence broke out across the state following the arrest of one of the leaders of an infamous criminal gang.
Ovidio Guzman Lopez was captured.
He is the son of the infamous drug kingpin known as El Chapo.
The arrest of Mexican drug cartel leader Ovidio Guzman, son of jailed kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, has turned the streets of Culiacan into a battlefield. His arrest spurred a violent backlash from the cartel gunmen, which has placed the entire city on lockdown. Now, this isn't the first time that Ovidio is being detained. We're going to take a look back on what happened at the previous arrest, the lessons learned by the government, and how they've applied these lessons to the recent capture. Chaos, curfews, and car explosions aside, let's examine the never-ending tussle between the United States and Mexican authorities versus the most ruthless and cold-blooded.
Yo, did Biden ended up going over there? I know he was supposed to go there, I think this weekend that just passed. Did he ended up going even after all the stuff that happened?
Of El Chapo. Battle of Culiacan, Part 1. The Battle of Culiacan, or better known to the natives as El Culiacanazo, is a 2019 operation that lives in infamy and is one the Mexican government would love to erase from history. This was a failed operation by the Mexican National Guard to capture Ovidio Guzman Lopez. Prior to this operation, the authorities had located Ovidio's brother, Joaquin Guzman Lopez. There was a heated exchange of gunfire between the authorities and Joaquin's men, but Joaquin managed to escape and phoned Ovidio in Culiacan about incoming Mexican forces. In response, Ovidio called in hundreds of Sinaloa cartel sicarios to patrol the streets of Culiacan to shoot and kill any members of the Mexican armed forces on sight. This was an impending sign of mass bloodshed for both the authorities and civilians alike. A large convoy of vehicles drove up to Ovidio Guzman Lopez's house in Culiacan based on an extradition warrant from a US judge. The National Guard succeeded in infiltrating his property and capturing Ovidio, but quickly found themselves surrounded by cartel.
That's a beautiful
forces.
house.
What did they expect? They thought they'd just knock on the door to capture the son of El Chapo and walk out. Shortly after his arrest, Ovidio was allowed a phone call to tell his men to minimize the violence. But the opposite happened. The cartel intensified the situation by threatening to massacre innocent lives and kidnapping people in the street. The cartel enforcers were well equipped with armored vehicles, bulletproof vests, rocket launchers, grenade launchers, and heavy machine guns. During this arrest, the cartel took several hostages, including 8 servicemen, as well as the housing unit where the military's families lived in Culiacan. Many government buildings like prisons were taken hostage, releasing important cartel members, setting vehicles on fire, and shutting down airports and important intersections. The president of
I didn't know all that to happen in the Culiacanazo. I think that's like what the first time when he got caught up. Now I can understand a little bit more why the president kind of made that decision that first time around, saying, you know, we just gonna let him go because it's not worth, you know, jeopardizing the lives of other people, you know, because of him. So I kind of understand a little bit more now. I didn't know all these people was being held hostage and they was doing all of that.
Mexico, Andrés Manuel López Obrador had to step in to order his release, stating that the capture of one drug smuggler could not be more valuable than the lives of innocent civilians. The president mentioned that,
"No, on the contrary, this decision was made to protect citizens. You can't fight fire with fire. That's the difference with this strategy compared with what previous governments have done."
This failed operation resulted in more than 10 people dying and 20 injured. 4 of the deaths were execution-styled murders of innocent civilians. This operation became a national humiliation for the López Obrador administration and cast doubt on his cabinet's ability to take on cartels in the areas of the country where they had the most power. But what really prompted this operation? Why was the United States Department of Justice working together with the Mexican National Guard to bring down Ovidio Guzman Lopez? Let's find out. The indictment and the bounty hunt. In January of 2017, the CEO of crime, El Chapo himself, was extradited to the United States, and 2 years later, in 2019, he was convicted by a federal court in New York and sentenced to life imprisonment. With El Chapo gone, the United States Department of Justice had its sights set on the sons of El Chapo, collectively known as Los Chapitos: Joaquin Guzman Lopez, Ovidio Guzman Lopez, Ivan Arquivaldo Guzman Salazar, and Jesus Alfredo Guzman Salazar. Joaquin and Ovidio are the most popular of the sons, both to the authorities and to the general populace. In July of 2017, the United States began to target some of El Chapo's kids, both Ovidio Guzman Lopez and his elder brother Joaquin Lopez, on charges of participating in a conspiracy to traffic meth, marijuana, and cocaine since 2008. And in 2018, they started working on an extradition process against both of them. The United States Department...
I know that, like, they said there's 4 of them. I know one of them is like arrested, like locked up and stuff right now in the same prison that they had his father at, where I guess he ended up escaping from. But what happened to the other 3? Are they out? I'm pretty sure they're looking for them, I guess. I don't know. This is crazy.
Justice issued a release in February of 2019 announcing an indictment against Ovidio and Joaquin, charging them with the following. Joaquin Guzman Lopez, 34, and Ovidio Guzman Lopez, 28, are charged in a 1-count indictment alleging that from April 2008 to April 2018, they conspired to distribute cocaine, methamphetamine, and marijuana from Mexico and elsewhere for importation into the United States. On December 15, 2021, the U.S. State Department put a $5 million bounty on the heads of imprisoned drug kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzman's sons. The son of the imprisoned Sinaloa drug cartel lord is atop the government's list and is a target of a new federal initiative offering millions of dollars in bounty for help in the capture and conviction of the international drug traffickers. The announcement comes after President Joe Biden signed 2 executive orders to combat transnational criminal organizations. Part of the reason this was done is because of the ever-growing number of deaths from heroin and fentanyl overdose in the United States. Mexico has become the main supplier of fentanyl to the US, overtaking China, a development that has alarmed American authorities. United States fatalities from drug overdoses topped...
That kind of makes sense now why they applying like that type of pressure, because I'm gonna be honest, it's me, you know, living out here, you know, in the States. That fentanyl stuff is killing people at a rapid rate, especially like a lot of young people is dying, you know, taking them pills and all that type of stuff. But it's real bad. You know, it's people, you know, like me growing up here, it's something I never really seen. Like obviously there's, you know, crackheads and stuff, you know, people that do drugs, but to the magnitude that is kind of now, I never seen it like that, where you just, you know, walking around and, you know, there's people just looking like zombies out here, bent over for hours, or, you know, just running around like a chicken with his head chopped off. Like it's real bad. And me, I've never seen it, you know, this bad. So I guess that's why they applying that type of pressure. And this is only in New York that I'll get to see that. I can only imagine, you know, every other state that deals with it. But definitely, and a lot of people are getting time. There's this dude that got caught. I think they say he had enough fentanyl to kill like the whole country or something like that. And he ended up getting a lot of time.
107,000 in 2021, the highest ever, and 2/3 of the deaths involved fentanyl. President Biden said the following in a recent speech.
For example, since August of last year, Custom and Border Patrol has seized more than 20,000 pounds of deadly fentanyl. That's enough to kill as many as 1,000 people in this country.
Now we know that opioids were responsible for almost 75% of the overdose deaths in 2020. And the primary driver of those deaths was illicit fentanyl.
Although the Mexican president Andrés Manuel López Obrador has declared that the American federal agents will not be permitted to step foot on Mexican soil and seize them on their own, analysts of Mexican organized crime stated that this recent pressure from the Biden administration to target the Sinaloa cartel would likely motivate Mexico to go after Ovidio, and that is exactly what happened. Now that we have the backstory, the motivation of the authorities, as well as the story of the first failed operation, let's cover the immediate details of how Ovidio was recently detained in Culiacan. The Battle of Culiacan, Part 2. The Mexican authorities captured Ovidio Guzman Lopez, allegedly one of the country's top fentanyl traffickers, in an early morning operation in Culiacan, a northwestern city that has long been the home base of the Sinaloa cartel. Guzman was captured after the Mexican National Guard stopped an armored convoy in Jesus Maria, a clustered human settlement in the northern edge of Culiacan. As the troops checked the vehicles, they came under fire, but still managed to identify Guzman as one of the occupants of the vehicles. In what we believe is not a coincidence, this latest arrest comes just before a North American leaders conference in Mexico City next week, in which US President Joe Biden and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada will attend and be hosted by Mexican President Lopez Obrador. The conference is set to touch on a lot of security issues in the North American continent. Former analysts and DEA officials have noted this long time
Yo,
pattern.
so they caught him in a car? Somebody had told me that supposedly they went all the way up to his house and that's how they found him, because I guess like another top drug dealer gave up his address. I don't know. Y'all enlighten me on that. Did he get caught? Was that's the situation where he got caught? Or they caught him in his house?
In which the Mexican government nabbed major narcos before key bilateral meetings. I think it's absolutely intentional and performative, said John Feely, a former senior US diplomat in Mexico. This arrest has, however, provided a bit of closure for the Mexican president after the slap in his face during the last botched attempt to arrest the son of El Chapo. Mexican National Defense Secretary Luis Crescencio Sandoval told a news conference that security forces had captured the 32-year-old high-ranking member of the Sinaloa cartel, Ovidio Guzman Lopez. The arrest comes 3 years after an attempt to detain him ended in humiliation for the government, El Culiacanazo. He also stated that after his arrest, Ovidio was transferred to a military base in the capital city, Mexico City, where he is currently being held. Ovidio's associates responded to the raid on Thursday by lighting vehicles on fire and blocking major motorways out of the city. Buses and tractor trailers alike were set aflame. Reports state that heavy fighting occurred overnight in Culiacan, the focal city in the northern state of Sinaloa, with the sky illuminated by helicopter gunfire. The city's airport was the scapegoat of violence, as Mexican airline Aeromexico reported that one of its planes had been hit by gunfire ahead of a scheduled flight to Mexico City. The footage was captured when passengers of the airline were forced to take cover after gunfire erupted in the Culiacan airport. In a bid to avoid unnecessary bloodshed like the first Battle of Culiacan, street blockades had been erected, and the local government advised civilians to stay indoors and said schools and administrative offices were closed due to the violence. Culiacan Mayor Juan de Dios Gamez also took to Twitter to say this: "We ask the civilians of Culiacan not to leave home due to the blockades that have occurred in different parts of the city. We will be informing you when there are conditions to do so." On Thursday morning, Mexican security forces attempted to contain the violent reaction to the capture in the Culiacan area by Guzman's associates. There were burned vehicles scattered on the streets, and heavily armed law enforcement patrolled in pickup trucks. "We continue to work on controlling the situation," said Cristobal Castaneda, Sinaloa's public security chief. However, 18 people have been wounded in the firefights and are being treated in Sinaloa hospitals, most of them security officials. The violence and chaos were reminiscent of what occurred on October 17, 2019, Black Thursday, when the Army and National Guard tried to arrest Guzman the first time. Now, it's public knowledge that the Guzman family has a long history of escaping arrests by the Mexican authorities. El Chapo is popular for breaking out of prison twice, with the help of his sons no less. They helped orchestrate his infamous escape from a Mexican security detention center in 2015 through a mile-long tunnel dug into the shower of his cell.
Yo,
that makes this
crazy.
a very volatile case, as nobody can predict what could happen next. Would the Sinaloa cartel hold civilians as ransom just like the first time? Would Ovidio break out of detainment like his father did multiple times? Or would he get extradited to the United States for prosecution? If this video sent chills down your spine, check out our other...
Bye, y'all. That's the end of the video right here. Let me know what y'all think about that. Do you think he's magically going to escape out of there like his father did, being that he's in the same prison? Or you think, being that the United States is putting so much pressure on the situation, that they're going to end up, you know, just extraditing him and sentencing him to like a life sentence only? I really want to know what was going to happen, because, you know, the same thing that happened before happened this time. I guess this time, like, innocent people didn't die in the situation from like what I've been hearing. But I guess we just gotta see how this is gonna play out. But this is the end, y'all. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, turn your post notifications so you know anytime I post a video. Like I said before, request any videos you'd like for me to react to, and I got you. I'm gonna get them done to the next one. Oh!